When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world.
I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin vs. the World. I'm SeptumSin. I'm here with Kotobuki Jake.
Hi.
And we're here to let you know who has left us over the past week.
Yeah.
So we've had some big names, and we've had a lot of names, actually. And I've been kind of moving this more towards Kotobuki Jake's. It's been the star of it. So I will hand it over to you.
Okay, well, let's roll that footage first of all.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
She was living on couches that belonged to her friends. She would sleep with her feet and her shins hanging over the ends, looking over her shoulder, never knowing herself. Like a lane she could never fit in till somebody new came along.
Yeah. So I don't know. You said a lot of names, but I felt like this week it really was a short list compared to a lot of the recent ones we've had. And there were a few people of note. Not a huge number this week, but there were a couple pretty big ones and a couple that we thought were like personally important big names. One that I just thought was worth a note because again we're comics geeks. And Spanish comic artist Carlos Ezquerra was 70. He did work for Judge Dredd and Preacher, among other things, so that was worth noting.
And Preacher's got a pretty successful series on AMC.
Right. A couple big ones. Jeff Emmerich, multiple Grammy-winning English recording engineer, a sound engineer. Not the most glamorous profession, but without them, music would not sound the same. And he worked on some major stuff. He did some big Beatles albums, Sgt. Pepper and Revolver, I believe. And he worked with Paul McCartney afterwards when he did his solo work with Wings. I guess it's not really solo work, but you know what I mean. And Elvis Costello as well. So he died of a heart attack at 72. And then Audrey Wells, probably she was the young one this week. We have had some tragically young people recently. Yeah. And this week the youngest one was 58. So I guess that's good.
Not so bad, actually. Yeah.
Audrey Wells was 58. She died of cancer, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. She was an American director and screenwriter, directed 2 films, one of which she also wrote was Under the Tuscan Sun. And she's also known for Truth About Cats and Dogs, wrote that. I think that was her first screenplay. And she has an upcoming one. The movie The Hate You Give is about to come out next week, I believe. And so she had written the screenplay for that as well. So, and I'll let you handle him because I know that's a big one for you too.
Well, he's a close one to my heart, especially my childhood, but also your childhood as well.
Yes.
Many people, both end-time Gen Xers and beginning-time millennials.
We've actually paid homage to this gentleman's work recently on this channel.
And that is Will Venton. He passed on 10/4 at age 70 due to multiple myeloma.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds bad.
Sounds like cancer
I'm
of some
sure
sort.
it is, yeah.
But he was most known for his claymation. Mm-hmm. Back in the 80s, claymation really flew off. I mean, it just took off big time. Mm-hmm. You could not turn around without seeing some form of claymation for just... It wasn't a long period of time. It was like a 5 or 10 year period, but
Roughly.
Still, during that time, it was everywhere.
And it's probably mostly because of this guy.
His most famous, of course, being the California Raisins. And a classic that's kind of near and dear to our hearts, and possibly a scary film for the season. The Adventures of Mark Twain, I believe it was.
If you paid attention during our video roll, you would have seen that there was a model of Mark Twain in his picture. Yes. He also did the Claymation Christmas Celebration, which featured the California Raisins, and I always loved that growing up. And the Raisins were not his only major ad campaign. He also created the Noid, so that was like,
a familiar stamp on that.
Yeah, so like he said, his work was very big in the early 80s, extending into the later 80s to a degree. So that was a big one for us, And the other big one, Scott Wilson, 76. He was an American actor. The name is fairly generic, so it didn't trigger right away. And I looked at I know that guy, because he is one in everything. And of course, he's probably best known to current audiences for his role in The Walking Dead. He was featured heavily in the second season and apparently filmed some scenes for the upcoming season. Now, that may be good or bad depending on your take on the second season. What was it SeptumSin said, that damn farmhouse or something like that?
Well, it's something that I'm probably not going to iterate on this site, but yes.
But at any rate, I didn't mind it, but he was good in the role. He was very good in the role. He basically played a hard-nosed patriarch who just was not willing to play ball with some of these other people. Yeah. And in a somewhat amusing flip of words, he also was featured in the movie Dead Man Walking. He had a ton of roles, and I just wrote down a few of the most notable, going all the way back to the 60s, In the Heat of the Night and In Cold Blood, two classic films. He was in Junebug, The Last Samurai, South of Heaven, West of Hell, Monster, Clay Pigeons. He had a recurring role as an old friend of Catherine Willow's on CSI. And a personal favorite of mine, not a great film by any means, but I've always loved Martin Short's film Pure Luck, and he was actually in that one as well. So that is an impressive filmography, and it's just the surface. He was in a ton of stuff. So he had a good, solid career spanning decades. He died from complications from leukemia, so it's unfortunate, definitely, but he definitely left a legacy behind, so wanted to make sure he got a good shout out.
Yeah, leukemia is a terrible illness. Yeah. I'm sad to actually see him go. He was in a number of seasons. He was in I think he was also in up to season 4.
You followed the show a lot more than I did.
Basically, he made it to the end of the governor's story. And didn't make it past that. My guess is that he shows up in flashbacks if he does show up in the latest season. That's the rumor. Again, I won't know until I see it, and I probably won't see it for a while because Walking Dead lost my interest after the Negan story.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that pretty much covers it. As per usual, hopefully you enjoyed it. Well, I don't know about enjoyed, but appreciated this a little bit. If you feel like there's anyone we missed, by all means, there were some serious deep cuts on the list, but I think we got most of the notable ones, and as we always try to do. And so
we will see you on the next one.
All right.
Take care.
Goodbye.